The distant rumble of explosions shook the ground beneath Corporal James Carter's boots. The sky above was a mix of smoke and fire, the remnants of yet another airstrike that had decimated an enemy stronghold. He adjusted his grip on the rifle, his knuckles white with tension. War had a way of erasing everything before it, names, faces, memories, leaving only survival. James had been deployed in Iraq for nearly a year. The days blended into each other, morning raids, afternoon reconnaissance, and nights filled with the eerie silence of a battlefield at rest. His unit, Bravo Company, had been assigned to secure a small town near Fallujah, a place that had seen more war than peace in the last 2 decades. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, Sergeant McCall signaled the squad to move forward. They advanced cautiously, their boots crunching softly against the rubble-strewn ground. Every corner, every abandoned building, every open window was a potential threat. "Eyes sharp, boys," McCall whispered. "We don't want a repeat of last week." James swallowed hard. Last week, they'd lost Private Owens to a roadside IED. The memory was still fresh, the guilt even fresher. He had been 2 steps behind Owens, close enough to hear his last breath, but too far to do anything about it. They reached the main street, a ghost town of shattered windows and bullet-ridden walls. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. James tightened his grip on his weapon. "Clear the left side," McCall ordered. James and his squad mate, Ramirez, moved toward a collapsed building that had once been a grocery store. The sign still hung crookedly above the entrance, its Arabic letters half obscured by soot. Inside, the air was thick with dust. The shelves were empty except for a few scattered cans and broken glass. As James stepped forward, something caught his eye, a movement in the shadows. His heart pounded as he raised his rifle. "Show yourself," he commanded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through his veins. A boy stepped out, no older than 10, his hands raised in surrender. His dark eyes were wide with fear, his face smeared with dirt. He held something in his hands, a bundle wrapped in cloth. James hesitated. "It's a trap," Ramirez warned, his rifle aimed at the boy. James wasn't so sure. He had seen traps before, rigged corpses, booby-trap toys, but this felt different. He took a slow step forward. "What's your name?" he asked in Arabic. The boy trembled but didn't respond. Instead, he unwrapped the bundle to reveal a bloodied piece of cloth, a makeshift bandage. James' eyes flickered to the back of the store, where a faint moan drifted from the darkness. Someone was hurt. "Cover me," James told Ramirez before moving past the boy. Behind a toppled shelf, a woman lay slumped against the wall, her leg wrapped in a torn scarf. Blood seeped through the fabric. She was unconscious, her breathing shallow. James cursed under his breath. She needed medical help, and fast. He glanced back at the boy, who stood frozen in fear. "We have to get them out of here," James said. Ramirez frowned. "You sure? Command isn't gonna like this." James didn't care. He couldn't leave them here to die. Before he could respond, the radio crackled to life. "Bravo Company, incoming hostiles from the east. Fall back immediately." James' blood ran cold. If they stayed, they were as good as dead. "We need to move," Ramirez shouted. James looked at the boy, then at the injured woman. He made his choice. "Help me carry her," he ordered. Ramirez hesitated only for a moment before slinging his rifle over his shoulder. Together, they lifted the woman, with James grabbing the boy's hand. Outside, gunfire erupted. The squad was already in retreat, exchanging shots with an unseen enemy. James and Ramirez pushed forward, bullets kicking up dust around them. "Move, move, move," McCall yelled. They ran, weaving through alleyways, the sounds of war closing in. The boy clung to James' hand, his small fingers tight with fear. The woman moaned but remained unconscious. They reached the extraction point just as the Humvees rolled in. James helped load the woman onto the vehicle, then turned to the boy. "You're safe now," he assured him. The boy stared at him for a long moment before whispering, "Shukran." "Thank you." As the Humvee sped away, James exhaled, his heart still pounding. He had seen too much death, too much destruction, but tonight, he had saved a life. And in war, that was enough.